Blackadder is the name that encompasses 4 series of a BBC One-period British sitcom, along with several one-off installments. All television episodes starred Rowan Atkinson as the anti-hero Edmund Blackadder, and Tony Robinson as Blackadder's dogsbody, Baldrick. Each series was set in a different historical period, with the 2 protagonists accompanied by different characters, though several reappear in one series or another, for example Melchett and Lord Flashheart. The first series, titled The Blackadder, was written by Richard Curtis and Rowan Atkinson, while subsequent episodes were written by Curtis and Ben Elton. The shows were produced by John Lloyd. In 2000, the 4th series, Blackadder Goes Forth, ranked at 16 in the 100 Greatest British Television Programmes, a list created by the British Film Institute. Also in the 2004 TV poll to find Britain's best sitcom, Blackadder was voted the 2nd best British sitcom of all time, topped by only Fools and Horses. It was also ranked as the 20th best TV show of all time by Empire magazine. Premise: although each series is set in a different era, all follow the misfortunes of Edmund Blackadder, who in each is a member of a British family dynasty present at many significant periods and places in British history. It is implied in each series that the Blackadder character is a descendant of the previous one, although it is never specified how or when any of the Blackadders managed to father children. As the generations progress, each Blackadder becomes increasingly clever and perceptive, while the family's social status steadily erodes. However, each Blackadder remains a cynical, cowardly opportunist, maintaining and increasing his own status and fortunes, regardless of his surroundings. The life of each Blackadder is also entwined with his servant, each from the Baldrick family line. Each generation acts as the dog's body to his respective Blackadder. They decrease in intelligence as their master's intellect increases. Each Blackadder and Baldrick is also saddled with tolerating the presence of a dim-witted aristocrat. This role was taken in the first 2 series by Lord Percy, played by Tim McInerney, with Hugh Laurie playing the role in the 3rd and 4th series, as Prince George, Prince Regent, and Lieutenant George, respectively. Each series was set in a different period of British history, beginning in 1485 and ending in 1917, and comprised 6 half-hour episodes. The first series, made in 1983, was called The Blackadder and was set in the fictional reign of Richard IV. The second series, Blackadder II, was set during the reign of Elizabeth I. Blackadder III was set during the late 18th and early 19th centuries in the reign of George III, and Blackadder Goes Forth was set in 1917 in the trenches of the Great War. Series and Specials. Series 1, The Blackadder. The Blackadder, the first series of Blackadder, was written by Richard Curtis and Rowan Atkinson and produced by John Lloyd. It originally aired on BBC One from June 15, 1983 to July 20, 1983, and was a joint production with the Australian 7 network. Set in 1485 at the end of the British Middle Ages, the series is written as an alternative history in which King Richard III won the Battle of Bosworth Field only to be mistaken for someone else and murdered, and is succeeded by Richard IV, one of the princes in the Tower. The series follows the exploits of Richard IV's unfavoured second son Edmund, the Duke of Edinburgh, in his various attempts to increase his standing with his father and his eventual quest to overthrow him. Conceived while Atkinson and Curtis were working on Not the 9 O'Clock News, the series dealt comically with a number of medieval issues in Britain: witchcraft, royal succession, European relations, the Crusades, and the conflict between the Church and the Crown. Along with the secret history, many historical events portrayed in the series were anachronistic. This dramatic license would continue in the subsequent Blackadders. The filming of the series was highly ambitious, with a large cast and much location shooting. The series also featured Shakespearean dialogue, often adapted for comic effect. The end credits featured the words "additional dialogue by William Shakespeare." Series 2, Blackadder II. Blackadder II is set in England during the reign of Queen Elizabeth I, who is portrayed by Miranda Richardson. The principal character is Edmund, Lord Blackadder, the great-grandson of the original Blackadder. During the series, he regularly deals with the Queen, her obsequious Lord Chamberlain Lord Melchett his rival and the Queen's demented former nanny Nursey. Following the BBC's request for improvements, several changes were made. The second series was the first to establish the familiar Blackadder character, cunning, shrewd, and witty, in sharp contrast to the first series' bumbling Prince Edmund. To make the show more cost-effective, it was also shot with virtually no outdoor scenes and several frequently used indoor sets, such as the Queen's throne room and Blackadder's front room. A quote from the series ranked number 3 in a list of the top 25 television put-downs of the last 40 years by the Radio Times magazine: "The eyes are open, the mouth moves, but Mr. Brain has long since departed, hasn't he, Percy?" Series 3, Blackadder III. Blackadder III is set in the late 18th and early 19th centuries, a period known as the Regency. In the series, Edmund Blackadder Esquire is the butler to the Prince Regent, the Prince of Wales. Despite Edmund's respected intelligence and abilities, he has no personal fortune to speak of, apart from his frequently fluctuating wage packet from the prince. "If I'm running short of cash, all I have to do is go upstairs and ask Prince Fathead for a raise." As well as Rowan Atkinson and Tony Robinson in their usual roles, this series starred Hugh Laurie as the Prince Regent, and Helen Atkinson Wood as Mrs. Miggins. The series features rotten boroughs, Dr. Samuel Johnson, William Pitt the Younger, the French Revolution, over-the-top theatrical actors, a squirrel-hating cross-dressing highwayman, and a duel with the Duke of Wellington. Series 4, Blackadder Goes Forth. This series is set in 1917, on the Western Front in the trenches of the First World War. Another big push is planned, and Captain Blackadder's one goal is to avoid being killed, so he plots ways to get out of it, but his schemes always land him back in the trenches. Blackadder is joined by his Batman Private S. Baldrick and idealistic Edwardian twit Lieutenant George. General Melchett rallies his troops from a French car sent 35 miles from the front, where he is aided and abetted by his assistant, Captain Darling, Pencil Pusher Supreme and Blackadder's nemesis, whose name is played on for maximum comedic value. The series' tone is somewhat darker than the other Blackadders. It details the deprivations of trench warfare as well as the incompetence and life-wasting strategies of the top brass. For example, Baldrick is reduced to making coffee from mud and cooking rats, while General Melchett hatches a plan for the troops to walk very slowly towards the German lines, because it'll be the last thing Fritz will expect. The final episode, Goodbye, is known for being extraordinarily poignant for a comedy especially the final scene, which sees the main characters finally going over the top, and charging off into the fog and smoke of no man's land to die. In a list of the 100 greatest British television programmes, drawn up by the British Film Institute in 2000 and voted for by industry professionals, Blackadder Goes Forth placed 16th. Specials, pilot episode. The Blackadder pilot was shot but never aired on terrestrial TV in the UK. One notable difference in the pilot, as in many pilots, is the casting. Baldrick is played not by Tony Robinson, but by Philip Fox. Another significant difference is that the character of Prince Edmund presented in the pilot is much closer to the intelligent, conniving Blackadder of the later series than the snivelling, weak buffoon of the original. Set in the year 1582, the script of the pilot is roughly the same as the episode Born to be King, albeit with some different jokes, with some lines appearing in other episodes of the series. Blackadder, The Cavalier Years. This special, set in the English Civil War, was shown as part of Comic Relief's Red Nose Day on Friday 5 February 1988. A 15-minute episode is set in November 1648, during the last days of the Civil War. Sir Edmund Blackadder and his servant, Baldrick, are the last two men loyal to the defeated King Charles I of England. However, due to a misunderstanding between Oliver Cromwell and Baldrick, the king is arrested and sent to the Tower of London. The rest of the episode revolves around Blackadder's attempts to save the king, as well as improve his standing. Blackadder's Christmas Carol. The second special was broadcast on Friday 23 December 1988. In a twist on Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol, Ebenezer Blackadder is the kindest and loveliest man in England. The spirit of Christmas shows Blackadder the contrary antics of his ancestors and descendants, and reluctantly informs him that if he turns evil his descendants will enjoy power and fortune, while if he remains the same a future Blackadder will live shamefully subjugated to a future incompetent Baldrick. This remarkable encounter causes him to proclaim, "Bad guys have all the fun," and adopt the personality with which viewers are more familiar. Blackadder, Back and Forth. Blackadder, Back and Forth was originally shown in the Millennium Dome in 2000, followed by a screening on Sky One in the same year. It is set on the turn of the millennium, and features Lord Blackadder placing a bet with his friends modern versions of Queenie, Melchett, George and Darling that he has built a working time machine. While this is intended as a clever con trick, the machine, surprisingly, works, sending Blackadder and Baldrick back to the time of the dinosaurs, where they managed to cause the extinction of the dinosaurs, through the use of Baldrick's best worst and only pair of underpants as a weapon against a hungry T-Rex. Finding that Baldrick has forgotten to write dates on the machine's dials, the rest of the film follows their attempts to find their way back to 1999, often creating huge historical anomalies in the process that must be corrected before the end. The film includes cameo appearances from Kate Moss and Colin Firth. Chronological order, production, series development. Rowan Atkinson and Richard Curtis developed the idea for the sitcom while working on Not the 9 O'Clock News. Eager to avoid comparisons to the critically acclaimed Fawlty Towers, they proposed the idea of a historical sitcom. An unaired pilot episode was made in 1982, and a 6-episode series was commissioned. The budget for the series was considerable, with much location shooting particularly at Alnwick Castle in Northumberland and the surrounding countryside in February 1983. The series also used large casts of extras, horses and expensive medieval-style costumes. Atkinson has said about the making of the first series. "The first series was odd, it was very extravagant. It cost £1 million for the 6-program ESA, which was a lot of money to spend. It looked great, but it wasn't as consistently funny as we would have liked." Due to the high cost of the first series, the then controller of programming of BBC One, Michael Grade, was reluctant to sign off a second series without major improvements and cost-cutting to be made to the show, leaving a gap of 3 years between the two series. Atkinson did not wish to continue writing for the second series. A chance meeting between Richard Curtis and comedian Ben Elton led to the decision to collaborate on a new series of Blackadder. Recognizing the main faults of the first series, Curtis and Elton agreed that Blackadder 2 would be a studio-only production. Besides adding a greater comedy focus, Elton suggested a major change in character emphasis. Baldrick would become the stupid sidekick, while Edmund Blackadder evolved into a cunning sycophant. This led to the familiar setup that was maintained in the following series. Only in the Back and Forth Millennium special was the shooting once again on location, because this was a production with a budget estimated at £3 million, and was a joint venture between Tiger Aspect, Sky Television, the New Millennium Experience Company and the BBC, rather than the BBC alone. Casting. Each series tended to feature the same set of regular actors in different period settings, although throughout the 4 series and specials, only Blackadder and Baldrick were constant characters. Several regular cast members recurred as characters with similar names, implying, like Blackadder, that they were descendants. Recurring cast. Various actors have appeared in more than one of the Blackadder series and/or specials. These are, main cast, Rowan Atkinson as Edmund Blackadder, the series protagonist. Tony Robinson as S. Baldrick, his servant. Stephen Ferry played Melchett in 2 series, first as Lord Melchett, the sycophantic advisor to Queen Elizabeth I in Series 2 and secondly as General Melchett, a blustering buffoon and presumed descendant in Series 4. Fry also appeared as Arthur Wellesley, the Duke of Wellington in Series 3 and as various characters in Blackadder Back and Forth. Tim McInerney played Lord Percy, Blackadder's dim-witted sidekick in Series 1 and 2 before a change of character to antagonist Captain Kevin Darling in Series 4. He also appeared as the Scarlet Pimpernel for one episode in the 3rd series, and reprised his role as Darling in Blackadder, Back and Forth. Hugh Laurie played George in Series 3 and 4, first as HRH the Prince Regent, and later Lieutenant George in Series 4. Laurie also appeared twice in Series 2. Firstly as Simon Fatter as Partridge and then as Prince Ludwig the Indestructible in the final installment of Blackadder 2. He similarly reprised this role in Back and Forth. Miranda Richardson was only a regular cast member for Series 2, where she played Queen Elizabeth I, reprising the role in Blackadder's Christmas Carol and Back and Forth. However, she also played significant one-off roles as Amy Hardwood in Amy and Amiability in the third series and Mary Fletcher Brown, a dutiful nurse in General Hospital from the fourth. Non-recurring cast, Brian Blessed, Elspeth Gray and Robert East appeared in all 6 episodes of the first series as the Blackadder's father, mother and brother respectively. Gray had also appeared in the non-broadcast pilot. Patsy Byrne played Nursey in all 6 episodes of Blackadder 2, but never featured in either of the subsequent series either as a regular character or one-off. She briefly reprised the character in Blackadder, Back and Forth and Blackadder's Christmas Carol. Helen Atkinson would play the role of Mrs. Miggins in all 6 episodes of Blackadder III, but did not appear again in the series, although the character was mentioned several times in Blackadder 2 and in the final episode of Blackadder Goes Forth. Guest cast, Ben Elton's arrival after the first series heralded the more frequent recruitment of comic actors from the famed alternative era for guest appearances, including Robbie Coltrane, Rik Mayall, Adrian Edmondson, Nigel Planer, Mark Arden, Stephen Frost, Chris Barry and Jeremy Hardy. Elton himself played an anarchist in Blackadder III. Gabrielle Glaister played Bob, an attractive girl who poses as a man, in both Series 2 and 4. Rik Mayall plays Lord Flashheart, a vulgar friend in his first appearance and then a successful rival of Blackadder in a later episode of Series 2 and 4. He also played a decidedly Flashheart-like Robin Hood in Back and Forth. Lee Corns also appeared in an episode of all 3 Curtis Elton series. He appeared as a guard in the episode Chains of Blackadder 2. As the poet Shelley in the episode Ink and Incapability of Blackadder III. And as firing squad soldier Private Fraser in the episode Corporal Punishment of Blackadder Goes Forth. More establishment-style actors, some at the veteran stage of their careers, were also recruited for roles. These included Peter Cook, John Grillo, Simon Jones, Tom Baker, Jim Broadbent, Hugh Pat Dick, Frank Finlay, Kenneth Connor, Bill Wallace, Ronald Lacey, Roger Blake, Dennis Lill, Warren Clark and Jeffrey Palmer, who played Field Marshal Sir Douglas Haig in Goodberry, the final episode of Blackadder Goes Forth. Miriam Margolyes played 3 different guest roles, the Spanish Infanta in The Queen of Spain's Beard, Lady Wittiarda in Beer, and Queen Victoria in Blackadder's Christmas Carol. Unusually for a sitcom based loosely on factual events and in the historical past, a man was recruited for one episode essentially to play himself. Political commentator Vincent Hanna played a character billed as his own great-great-great-grandfather in the episode Dish and Dishonesty of Blackadder III. Hanna was asked to take part because the scene was of a by-election in which Baldrick was a candidate and, in the style of modern television, Hanna gave a long-running live commentary of events at the Count to a crowd through the town hall window. Theme tune: Howard Goodall's theme tune has the same melody throughout all the series, but is played in roughly the style of the period in which it is set. It is performed mostly with trumpets and timpani in the Blackadder, the fanfares used suggesting typical medieval court fanfares. With a combination of recorder, string quartet and electric guitar in Blackadder 2. On oboe, cello and harpsichord for Blackadder III. By a military band in Blackadder Goes Forth. Sung by carol singers in Blackadder's Christmas Carol. And by an orchestra in Blackadder, the Cavaliers and Blackadder, Back and Forth. Awards: in 2000, the 4th series, Blackadder Goes Forth, ranked at 16 in the 100 Greatest British Television Programmes, a list created by the British Film Institute. In 2004, a BBC TV poll for Britain's Best Sitcom, Blackadder was voted the 2nd best British sitcom of all time, topped by only Fools and Horses. It was also ranked as the 20th best TV show of all time by Empire magazine. Future. Despite regular statements denying any plans for a fifth series, cast members are regularly asked about the possibility of a new series. In January 2005, Tony Robinson told ITV's This Morning that Rowan Atkinson was more keen than he has been in the past to do a fifth series, set in the 1960s. Robinson, in a stage performance June 1, 2007, again mentioned this idea, but in the context of a movie. One idea mentioned by Curtis was that it was Baldrick who had accidentally assassinated John F. Kennedy. However, aside from a brief mention in June 2005, there have been no further announcements from the BBC that a new series is being planned. Furthermore, in November 2005, Rowan Atkinson told BBC Breakfast that, although he would very much like to do a new series set in Colditz or another prisoner of war camp during World War II, something which both he and Stephen Ferry reiterated at the end of Blackadder Rides Again, the chances of it happening are extremely slim. There were a couple of ideas that had previously floated for the fifth series. Blackadder was intended to be a parody of Batman with Baldrick as the counterpart of Robin. This idea eventually came to surface as part of the comic relief sketch Spider-Plant Man in 2005, with Atkinson as the title hero, Robinson as Robin, Jim Broadbent as Batman and Rachel Stevens as Mary Jane. Adder was to be set in space in the future, though this too was touched upon in Blackadder's Christmas Carol. On April 10, 2007, Hello! Reported that Atkinson was moving forward with his ideas for a fifth series. He said, "I like the idea of him being a prisoner of war in Colditz. That would have the right level of authority and hierarchy which is apparent in all the Blackadders." A post on www.blackadderhall.com from Ben Elton in early 2007 states that Blackadder will return in some form, whether it be a TV series or movie. Elton has since not given any more information on the putative Blackadder 5. During an interview in August 2007 regarding his recent movie, Mr. Bean's Holiday, Atkinson was asked about the possibility of a further Blackadder series, to which the simple reply no chance was given. There was a plan for a film set in the Russian Revolution, a very interesting one called The Red Adder. He would have been a lieutenant in the secret police. Then the revolution happened and at the end he is in the same office doing the same job but just the colors on his uniform have changed. It was quite a sweet idea and we got quite a long way with it but in the end it died a death. Stephen Ferry has expressed the view that, since the series went out on such a good high, a film might not be a good idea. During his June 2007 stage performance, chronicled on the Tony Robinson's Conning Night Out DVD, Robinson states that, after filming the Back and Forth special, the general idea was to reunite for another special in 2010. Robinson jokingly remarked that Hugh Laurie's success on House may make that difficult. At the end of Blackadder Rides Again, Robinson asked Tim McInerney if he would do another series and he responded no, because he thought people would not want to see them as they are now and would rather remember them for how they were. In the same documentary, Rowan Atkinson voiced his similar view. Times passed. That's what they were. However, Miranda Richardson and Tony Robinson expressed enthusiasm towards the idea of a series set in the Wild West, whilst John Lloyd favoured an idea for a series with a Neanderthal Blackadder. Lastly, Stephen Ferry suggested a series set in a prisoner of war camp during World War II, but later remarked that perhaps it's best to leave these things as a memory. On November 28, 2012, Rowan Atkinson reprised the role at the We Are Most Amused comedy gala for the Prince's Trust at the Royal Albert Hall. He was joined by Tony Robinson as Baldrick. The sketch involved Blackadder as CEO of Melchett and Darling Bank facing an inquiry over the banking crisis. Media availability: all series and many of the specials are available on DVD and video, and as well many are available on BBC audio cassette. As of 2008, a Best of BBC edition box set is available containing all four major series together with Blackadder's Christmas Carol and Back and Forth. All four seasons and the Christmas special are also available for download on iTunes. VHS releases: around February 1990, BBC Enterprises Limited released the first series The Blackadder on 2 single videos, Around October 1989, BBC Enterprises Limited released the second series The Blackadder on 2 single videos. Around March 1989, BBC Enterprises Limited released the third series Blackadder the third on 2 single videos, but for some reason on the tapes they were copyrighted in 1988. Around September 10, 1990, BBC Enterprises Limited released the fourth and final series Blackadder Goes Forth on 2 single videos. On September 7, 1992, all 8 single Blackadder video releases were re-released as 4 complete double VHS releases. The 4 entire series videos were re-released as single video releases on October 2, 1995. On January 5, 1998, 5 episodes of the first 2 Blackadder series were released on a 15-rated compiled video by BBC Worldwide Limited. On November 4, 1991, Blackadder's Christmas Carol was released on a single video release rated PG. Single DVD releases, box set DVD releases, references. Literature: Richard Curtis, Ben Elton, and Rowan Atkinson. Blackadder, The Whole Damn Dynasty 1485–1917. ISBN 0-14-029608-5. Being Theo Almoster Complete scripts of the 4 regular series. Chris Howarth, and Steve Leon, Cunning, The Blackadder Program Guide. ISBN 0-7535-0447-2. An unofficial guide to the series, with asides, anecdotes and observations. Richard Curtis and Ben Elton, Blackadder, Back and Forth. ISBN 0-14-029135-0. A script book with copious photographs from the most recent outing. J. F. Roberts, The True History of the Blackadder, The Unadulterated Tale of the Creation of a Comedy Legend. ISBN 978-1-84809-346-1. A 420-page history of the Blackadder episodes and characters, as well as its birth, its writers and actors, and all the specials. External links: Blackadder at BBC Programmes, Blackadder at TV.com, Blackadder at the British Comedy Guide, The Blackadder at the Internet Movie Database, Blackadder 2 at the Internet Movie Database, Blackadder the Third at the Internet Movie Database, Blackadder, The Cavalier Years at the Internet Movie Database, Blackadder's Christmas Carol at the Internet Movie Database, Blackadder Goes Forth at the Internet Movie Database, Blackadder, Back and Forth at the Internet Movie Database,